Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington, where you will hear from the movers, shakers, and changemakers that are moving Greater Burlington forward. Here is your host, Stephen Brody.
Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington. The Burlington Apartments has a rich and storied history in downtown Burlington, and I thought it would be wonderful to get folks up to date on not only its history, but also its recent transformation and all things wonderful and great that is happening there at the Burlington. It is a pleasure to have with me today Libby Bowen, the property manager at the Burlington. Libby, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks, Stephen, for having me. Appreciate it.
How long have you been at the Burlington for now?
Well, I've been managing the Burlington Apartments since November of last year, so not too long.
Okay. And was there anything in particular that attracted you to going to work there?
Absolutely. I actually have an interest in property investing as just a regular investor, so I wanted to be able to learn about the property management aspect of it because I want to own lots of properties.
Okay, very good. Now, we met a short time ago. You gave me a wonderful tour of the facility, and you shared with me a lot of the history behind it. And of course, to somebody like me who hasn't been around for too long, I was just in awe of it. So talk about the history of the Burlington, because it definitely does have a rich history here, doesn't it?
It does, and honestly, there are plenty of people in the community that have way more knowledge about the history than I do.
Yeah.
But if you come into our lobby, which is open to the public during the weekdays, during regular work hours, you can view the pictures, black and white pictures, and various postcards throughout history that have been created regarding its building and some of its the rooms that were inside of it at the time. So it was built in 1910 and it finished in February of 1911. And it was built by local businessmen who essentially wanted to support the continuous interest in Burlington. At the time, there was a lot of manufacturing that was going on, so they wanted to keep having business people coming to the area. So they found, basically they saw that there was a need for a really nice, luxurious hotel. They wanted it to compete with Burlington or Chicago-style hotels and just be really nice. So they pooled their money together and built the Burlington Apartments, well, which is what is now the Burlington Apartments. It was called Hotel Burlington at the time. It was 7 floors, I think 130-ish rooms. Mm-hmm. And it didn't take it long. It was very successful at the very beginning, and so they had to add on to it. And essentially, over the course of just a few years, it became what it is today, with 9 floors.
Okay.
And, well, I don't know how many rooms it had at that point by the time it had 9 floors. So, yeah, pretty exciting. It's changed a lot of hands over the years, of course. In the 80s, it was just empty. It sat there empty. And
No
then
kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
for quite a while, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is really sad. So, it degraded a lot.
Yeah.
It used to actually have marble wainscoting on the walls. Amazing. So unfortunately, that's not there anymore. But so in the 1990s, they started to refurbish it and rebuild it, and they then changed it into apartments at that point.
So somebody had a vision that they wanted to see this grand old lady,
that cool?
have a new lease on life.
Yeah, absolutely. So It's pretty
Okay.
cool. So then in 2014, of course, the Millennium Management Company, they went ahead and they purchased it. Mm-hmm. It was already the Burlington Apartments at that point, and they put in several million into creating what it is today with its new decor and so forth.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly one of the main buildings, I guess, in downtown. I mean, when you come across the bridge into Iowa, one of the things you're going to see is the Burlington, and you've got the iconic sign, which is on top of it as well, so for all to see.
So that sign actually used to be lit, which would be really wonderful to restore or, replace and duplicate.
Yeah.
If that happens to be the most efficient way of dealing with that. But yes.
Do you know if there's any thoughts or plans or dreams to do that?
Well, I have quite a few, yes. Whether or not or how those unfold, I suppose, will be left up to fate, I suppose. And as well as the support of the community, because there are some things that I think would be pretty cool to be able to do with those letters that I think the community would really enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, in the time that you've been there, I'm sure people have come and they've told you stories and stuff. So does the Burlington have the type of if these walls could talk stories?
I think it does. I haven't heard a lot of those types of stories. However, we did have and do have some people who live in the Burlington Apartments who used to work in the restaurant that was on the first floor, which is super fun. Yeah. I also have some folks who are there who remember coming and staying in the hotel when it was a functioning and very popular hotel.
Yeah.
I've heard that they had a doorman who determined basically your value and whether or not you could go up.
Wow.
So essentially, if he thought you were up to no good, you weren't entering.
Yeah.
You weren't going to the other floors, and he'd kick you out.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. So, yeah, there's definitely some stories, and there are some folks that I have who have lived there for a couple of decades.
No kidding.
So yeah, it's super neat.
Is there any stories about any famous folks who used to stay there over the years? Did anybody bring that to your attention?
I don't know. There are rumors about some people who may have stopped in, but I haven't seen anything that is verifiable. But I suppose that doesn't mean it's not out there.
Right, right. So now it's apartments, and you see a lot of development, a lot of growth going on in the downtown area. So there's a lot of new residential units going in.
Yep.
What's the demand? What are you seeing in terms of the demand for housing downtown, and how is that affecting you at the Burlington?
Yeah, that's a really great subject because, we know that up and coming as the Burlington, we know up and coming has a lot of opportunities for people to be able to move downtown. We like that because that means that there's a demand in marketing. If there's no interest, then you're probably not going to sell your product. So with that being said, it's exciting to me because that just makes it a little bit more fun,
Sure.
I like the creativity that has to come with that. But in addition, there's such a difference between what is up and coming and what is being remodeled with what we offer. Really you can micro niche this down. So it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges, really,
Okay.
But the nice thing about the Burlington is that it's very, what do you call it? It has a very 1920s type of feel to it.
Sure.
And so when you're walking the halls, and a lot of people just kind of feel a connection to the building itself. It's almost like you were saying before. If the walls could talk, it's almost as if the walls speak to each individual in their own language. Because people really just tend to adopt it as this is my building.
Yeah.
And they're a resident or an employee.
Yeah.
There are employees who have managed the building prior who still love the building and are still with the company. And they're like, oh, I love that building. I miss that building. And it's just because that building speaks to each person in its own way.
Because of its nostalgia and because of its look and its appearance, are you prevented from doing certain things to the building? Are there certain regulations or codes or anything like that you have to follow because of it?
There would be, yes, because we are registered with the Historical Society, so we are a historical landmark.
Okay.
So yes, there would be restrictions to things that we may want to change to the outside. But the truth be told, I don't think there's any plans for changing anything about it. Just simply keeping it restored and keeping it up to date and keeping it in good, healthy condition so that it can live for a very long time because we love the building.
Yeah. And at the time that we're recording this in
in June. How's your occupancy? Are you full? Are you looking for folks?
Sure. So I have 75 units. I have studio apartments, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom apartments.
Oh, wow.
I have 7 different floor plans in the building.
Ooh.
So when people call me and they say, I would like to get some more information about your units that you have available, then that becomes a very fun conversation because it depends on what you're looking for and what your needs are. So essentially, well, at this point, we're full. And we tend to stay full, and I have some people who are waiting to get in, so that's good news.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, yeah. And we just continue to work to improve each of the units as we can and make it as comfortable as possible for all of our residents.
Yeah. And how are your leases? Do you go month to month? Are they annual leases? How do they operate?
So we have some flexibility when it comes to the leasing options. I have a 12-month lease, a 6-month lease, and a 3-month lease.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I work very hard to work with my residents if there are any transitions in their life. A lot of my residents currently are in their 20s, and this is their first apartment.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
pretty fun for me.
Yeah, yeah.
I get to coach and help and,
Sure.
just really establish a positive relationship with my residents is really important to me. Creating a sense of community is really important to me. So I work really hard to all of that effect. And if they're, like I said, a transition, I work with them individually for whatever their needs are. Because even if I'm losing them as a resident, I don't want to lose them as a fan.
Yeah.
I want them to remember the Burlington Apartments really positively in their mind, because then later on, 5 years down the road, if they're asked, how was your experience? I want that to be a positive experience. I want them to go out into the streets and tell people, oh, live there. It's the best place ever.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
You talked about 7 different floor plans.
Yeah.
So can you give us a range as to square footage on some of these?
Yeah. So my 2-bedroom square footage ranges from 875 square feet to 1,028 square feet.
That's a nice size for
Yeah.
an apartment.
And that's just the 2 bedrooms. All the 3 bedrooms are exactly the same, and they all stack on top of each other, right? So the floor plans are stacked from floor 3 up, essentially.
When you say stacked, what does that mean?
The floor plans are the same from 3 to 4
I
to
see.
5.
So the same room number on that
Yep.
floor
Is the same floor plan.
Gotcha.
So it keeps it pretty simple as far as that goes for us. So
Yeah.
then we know how much paint we need and all this stuff.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's a good time.
When you get inquiries, is there inquiries on a particular floor plan versus another? Or is there more demand for a 1-bedroom or a 2 or a 3?
There is a lot of demand for 1-bedrooms because we have such a huge influx right now of employees coming into the area.
Okay.
So that's great economically speaking. They are temporary living situations, however. So whatever stimulation they do offer, it is temporary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was gonna ask that because I didn't know for executives or for short-time employees is there somewhere other than a hotel that they can take up residence?
yeah, I work with a lot of people in that niche that are looking to have great, wonderful, comfortable, home-like, homey, affordable places to live for a short period of time. That's where our options come into play because even though I don't do month to month, I can do a 3-month lease with someone. At the end of that 3-month lease, if they feel like they're going to be extended, which a lot of folks are, and some are not, but they don't know. So I work to be very flexible with people with that, and we just kind of keep on.
What do you have any special amenities in the building as well? Like for laundry, do people need to bring their own washer dryers, or is there a laundry room on site?
So we actually have laundry on each floor.
Nice.
It's very nice. So each laundry room on each floor is, again, that's stacked, right? So we can't really do laundry in the facility, in each of the units, simply because of our situation, just
Sure.
because of the way the plumbing works in the building. But it's very efficient, and we have a company that comes and manages all of it for us and keeps it up to working condition.
Very
and
good.
Everything's brand new.
Any challenges that residents have when moving in, especially like if they're moving big things? Are they able to get everything in the elevator, or is there the things that we've seen on television where they're having to hoist it from the outside and get it into their windows?
Thankfully not. Thankfully not. Oh my goodness. That would be funny. But yes, thankfully not. So we do have the 2 elevators. They are big enough to have a king-size bed come in,
Oh,
which is
really?
surprising. If you've been in our elevators, you're probably thinking, no way. But we've done it.
Wow.
But as far as some of these big, bulky couches go, you better have some muscle with you because you're going to be climbing the stairs.
Yeah. Anybody try to bring a piano in?
No, thankfully. Actually, I have had people ask me if they could do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think that the elevator can handle that.
Okay. So there may be some limitations.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking go to Munson, trade it in for a keyboard.
Right? That we can fit in the
That
elevator.
we can
for
fit into
sure.
the elevator.
Wonderful. All right. Well, let's transition from the residential.
Yeah,
You also have several commercial spaces.
I do.
On the first floor,
I do.
and you're just chomping at the bit, aren't you?
Dying. I'm dying.
Because you're dreaming,
Yes.
and there are spots there that you are envisioning
Yes.
success, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that. What have you got?
Okay, so on our first floor, like you said, we have a number of commercial opportunities. So it just kind of depends. Again, flexibility is the name of the game, right? So I've worked very hard to set it up for multiple options. Within that, if you come and you look at our first floor amenities, we have a large space. As soon as you walk in, you're going to see this huge space for a potential restaurant. And what's so beautiful about it is it's basically ready to go. I've had the city inspectors come out and take a look, tour it with me, and let me know how long will this take to convert into working approval, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they said, well, depending on what they're cooking, it's basically ready to go. We have a $25,000 required hood that they require in order for grease fires and all of these things. It's already in there. Essentially, you need your cooktop, and you need to figure out what it is that your menu is going to be so everything can be approved through Lee County and through the city. I've already been in conversations with them regarding that space, so we're all ready to go. It's just a matter of somebody saying, hey, you know what, I'd like this opportunity.
Yeah.
The other nice thing about that is it is a very large space, so we can cut that space in half if needed for a restaurant if they don't want to rent that entire space.
Okay.
And then we can utilize the front half of that restaurant for another type of business.
I'm looking at a flyer that you've put together, and if I'm reading this right, it says the total restaurant space is 4,226 square feet.
Yes, that includes the back of the house.
And that sounds like a pretty nice size.
Mm-hmm.
So is there, with that in mind, is there a certain niche of restaurant that you think fits well in that space?
Sure. So if the entire space is utilized,
Yeah.
I think that something along the lines of anything like an Italian eatery or maybe, the good old-fashioned American diet
Yeah.
would probably be just fine as well.
Yeah.
The good thing is Burlington has a variety of options for niche openings. It really does. So if it's something that the general public would enjoy, I think it would be just fine because it's a great location. A lot of people come down to the downtown area in order to eat, and I think that pretty much anything is going to work if it's supported by the community, which we know based on what is already in the market.
Sure. If the food is good,
Mm-hmm.
people are going to come,
Right.
right? And of course, hopefully they price it affordably and that there will be return customers.
Exactly.
And they'll want to come back again and again.
Exactly. And a great conversation to have is simply what could you potentially offer to the 75 units that are sitting ducks?
Uh-huh.
You know, we have to think of
they don't have to leave the building.
it's a captive audience, right? So
Sure.
there are 75 units, and many of my residents have come to me and, "Oh, are you going to get a restaurant yet? Have you got a restaurant yet?" You know, they're just dying to know. And because they also don't want to have to go out and seek food when they don't want to have to cook. And let's face facts, in the downtown area, a lot of businesses are closed on Saturday or on Sundays and Mondays. But some people don't want to cook during those days, so then they have to get in their car and they have to drive away and they have to go to Roosevelt or whatever. And,
Yeah.
and a lot of folks who live downtown want downtown to be fully self-sufficient.
Right. I wonder if you could sweeten the deal at all, like if someone's interested, that you could actually have them live there too.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, for convenience
Absolutely.
sake, right? They could just
Absolutely.
go downstairs and open up and then close when they have to in case, or maybe if they need to stay open a little later,
Yep.
then they just pop upstairs.
That would be wonderful.
And they're done.
Absolutely.
But you've got other spaces as well. You took me on a tour and
I do.
you showed me. So you definitely have others that's right there on the, what do you want to call it? Right on the
The
corner.
south side, yes. So we have two entrances. We have our north third entrance, which is our main entrance, automatic doors, handicap accessible, etc. And then on the south side, we have double doors, and we have a few, actually, office spaces / boutique spaces available. Depends on what it is that you'd like to do. So if you are on the south side and you're facing the door, on the right-hand side is a boutique-style space. It's just one large open room. It's 900 square feet, I believe, or 700. I think actually it's 725 square feet, if memory serves. And actually, you have that there. Am I right? 725? Red room?
Red room.
Uh-huh.
720. Oh, you
Oh,
nailed it.
I was close.
You're pretty close. 720 square feet. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. So that is such a beautiful space. It would be great we could convert it to a delicatessen type style or something that's quick for food and coffee, breakfast, etc.
Yeah.
Or it could be a really fun boutique style space as well. The windows are perfect, prime real estate for any kind of display or signage that you want. Yeah, it's just perfect. And it has two exits and entrances on it as well.
Yeah.
And then across the hall from it is a series of 4 offices. And that space can go a couple of different ways. So I've actually worked with the city to create some new addresses for each of these commercial spaces. So
Nice.
each of these commercial spaces will have their own address, which is great for Google My Business and et cetera. So those office spaces can either be rented individually, which make them very, very affordable, anywhere between $250 to about $400 per space per month.
That sounds very affordable.
Yes, it's perfect for the transition from the at-home business coming out into the public eye and having, if you will, the storefront. Also, again, prime real estate with those huge windows. You can display anything you'd like, put up, any kind of signage or neon lights I've had people recommend, and so forth. So each of those has its own address as well. The other option for that space is if there is a larger business, say for example an esthetician's office or maybe a dental office or something along those lines where it needs more space, they could rent that whole space out.
Yeah. How are you marketing this, Libby? How are you getting the word out to let people know that you are more than just an apartments, but you do have commercial space available too?
Sure. At this time, essentially, I'm doing a lot of networking.
Yeah.
A lot of networking, a lot of talking, a lot of fun things like this. Working with Amy Moyner, who is divine and such a good help, and a lot of fun to work with as well. And just also reaching out, quite frankly, I do cold calls and I do cold email campaigns individually. I do a lot of research on businesses that exist in other locations who may want to expand, and I reach out to them. I have no shame.
No problem there.
I want to get it filled.
Yeah, of course you do. Do you, it's a question I love to ask my guests. Is there such a thing as a typical day in the life of Libby Bowen at the Burlington?
Oh, my goodness. Well, you see my hair today, right? It's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's so fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I go to work every day, and I just have this looming question. I wonder what life is going to bring me today, because you just never know. And you sit down and maybe you write your to-do list, and typically on the days you write the list is still there for the next morning.
It's like, what happened? I had these grand plans for the day.
Yes, absolutely. So it's a lot of fun. It's go, go, go. The fun thing is, too, that I love is my residents love to come down and do a little bit of socializing. So we get to kick it in my office a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I have fabulous people from the community who want to help us promote, such as chamber employees and so forth, who come down and visit. And then other businesses around who come in and say hi and just want to get to know what we have going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I'd be remiss if I didn't give you a chance to also talk about the, if you want to call it the event space, banquet hall space that you
Yes.
have. That's on the second floor.
It is.
Yeah.
So we have a few things that are open to the public. Obviously, I'm happy to give a tour to anyone, first of all. Second, if people want to come in and take a look around, they're very, very welcome to do that on their own, because we are open, like I said, Monday through Friday during regular business hours, so like 8 to 5-ish, approximately. Mm-hmm. And so what they have access to is the first floor lobby, which has those pictures, those images that I told you about, and they can look at the building being built and these blown up images of old postcards that had the Burlington Apartments on there. So fun. And then they can go up the marble stairs or take the elevator and go into our second floor mezzanine. And the mezzanine is just done nicely. It's just pretty. It's a really nice place to be able to take pictures if you want to. A lot of proms and homecoming folks come and take pictures there, senior pictures, etc. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then we have the banquet hall as well, right at the end of the mezzanine. And that banquet hall can seat 250 people. People have used it for weddings and wedding receptions. It's really perfect for things like business luncheons, trainings, those types of things. I've had birthdays, baby showers, wedding showers, all of those things available in the Burlington banquet hall. But one of the things that I want to be able to do is not just rent that space out, but hold events there ourselves.
Okay.
So we want to be able to capitalize on that space by just being able to invite people into the building and to have some fun.
Yeah. Do people have to bring in their own food if it's that
Yes.
type of an event?
Yes.
Okay.
So if they rent the space and they want food there, they would just bring their own.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because I could foresee you could even have like little trade shows up
Yes.
in that room, right?
Absolutely. Trade show, yeah, anything, really anything. It doesn't house a whole, like a big wedding, so if you have like 500 guests, I can't do it.
Right.
But anything that's smaller, like especially if people are coming and going, would be perfect.
Yeah. So if people want to hear more, people want to go see more about the Burlington, what's the best way to find out about it, get a hold of you, and
Sure.
learn more about the Burlington?
Sure. So essentially, you could do a pop by. I have no problem with pop bys. Those are fun. People can pop by and say hi and just let me know, hey, I'd like to take a look at this. This would be great. And
Yeah.
they're just curious. I have no problem with that. That's a lot of fun for me. The other thing is we have a website, thehistoricburlington.com.
thehistoricburlington.com.
Yes.
Okay.
And people can go on that and take a look at some images as well on there. And there's also a link to be able to email me if anybody wants to email and set up an appointment. That's fine as well.
Okay. Is there a phone number that you want to give out too?
Yeah, that's fine. We can do 319-758-9014. And they can call that if they'd like.
And leave a message if you're not available, because you will
Absolutely.
be out giving tours if you're not
Yes.
available, right?
Yes. Who knows what I'll be doing, but yes, definitely giving tours.
Great. Well, Libby Bowen, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for sharing all
Thank
things
you.
about the Burlington. We
Yeah.
wish you continued success with that.
Thank you.
And we thank you so much for listening today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we will look forward to being with you next time on All Things Greater Burlington.
You have been listening to All Things Greater Burlington with Stephen Brody. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to catch all new episodes. To learn more about All Things Greater Burlington, visit greaterburlington.com/ATGB.